Hello, my name is Nicholas Nikolic and you are listening to the Android Book Tutorials. These tutorials are based on the Creative Commons work of Mark Murphy, who kindly releases versions of his book, The Busy Coder's Guide to Android Development, and as such are released Creative Commons as well. I'll read from the book and go through the points directly. You might be warned at this time that I cover up to Android 4.4, whereas the original subscription book is updated on a quarterly basis to Android 6 and beyond. For completely current versions of Android, please purchase a subscription to Murphy's book at commonsware.com. And here we are. This tutorial is on the contents of Android projects. The Android build system is organized around a specific directory tree structure for your Android project, much like any other Java project. The specifics, though, are fairly unique to Android. The Android build tools do a few extra things to prepare for the actual application that will run on the device or emulator. Here is a quick primer on the project structure to help you make sense of it all, particularly for the sample code referenced in this book. Root contents. Now, you're going to see here, I'm jumping out of the book, you're going to see here that I have the project view. You don't normally look at the project view in Android Studio. You're normally looking at Android view, which shows you fewer files, gives you less files to break. I like it. It's a good thing. So this is what you're normally going to see, and we'll go through first in this view, and then we'll switch if we have to. So, when you create a new Android project via Android Create Project, you get several items in the project's root directory, including an Android manifest file, which is no longer in the root directory, mind you. Now, Android manifest.xml, which is an XML file describing the application being built and what components, activities, services, etc. are being supplied by that application. 2. Bin, which is not true of Android Studio anymore, and we have to switch over to Project View to see it. Build and bin are the same thing, which holds the application once it's compiled. Note this directory will be created when you first build your applications. Res, which holds resource folder. Here's res, but if we look back here, switch back to Android view, here's res, stands for resources. So just icons, GUI layouts, and the like that get packaged with a compiled Java in the application. And then source. Switching back to project view, here is source. Everything inside of here is source. Under test, main, and test. That's where everything goes, but you're going to want to be, see this app directory. It just filters out many of the things you don't actually need for most development. So in addition to the files and directories shown above, you may find any of the following Android projects. In Android projects: assets. You find assets directories, which hold other static files you wish packaged with the application for deployment onto a device. Gen, G-E-N. That directory holds Android's build tools and will place source code that they generate from the build tools. Libs, which hold any third-party Java jars your application requires. Note this directory may not be created for you by Eclipse or Android, and it isn't here. You might have to create it for yourself. Build.xml. Here's build.gradle. We'll be talking about Gradle later. Here's build.gradle. We'll talk about Gradle later. Just know that this is a more general Gradle file than this one. This one refers to your app, and this one refers to, well, building the environment. Alright, so let's go back to the Android view. When you created your project via Create Project, you supplied the fully qualified class name of the main activity for the project. For instance, com.commonsware.android.somedemo. You will then find that your project SRC tree already has the package directory tree in place, plus a stub activities subclass representing your main activity. For instance, src/com/commonsware/android/somedemo activity /dot java. You are welcome to modify this file and add others to the SRC tree, source tree. SRC stands for source. To implement your application. We will then demonstrate that countless times as we progress through this book. The first time you compile a project via Ant or Gradle, out in the project's package directory, the Android build chain will create r.java. This contains a number of constants tied to various resources you placed in the resources directory tree. You should not modify the r.java yourself, letting the Android tools handle it for you. You will see throughout many of the samples where we reference things in r.java. For instance, referring to a layouts identifier via r.layout.main. Resources. You'll also find in your project that your project has a res directory tree. This holds resources, static files that are packaged along with your application, either in their original form or occasionally in a preprocessed form. Some of the subdirectories you'll find under res include res drawable, res/drawable for images, PNG, JPEG, etc., res/layout for XML-based UI layout specifications, res/menu for XML-based menu specifications, res/raw for general purpose files such as an audio clip, a CSV file, just raw data, res/values for strings, dimensions, and the like, res/XML for other general purpose XML files that you wish to ship. Some of the directory names may have suffixes like res/drawable-hdpi. This indicates the directory of the resource should only be used in certain circumstances. So for instance, HDPI, if you have a 1080 pixel tablet, that's when an HDPI drawable would be used. In this case, drawable resources should only be used on devices that have high density screens. It also sometimes will click over to an HDPI folder if there's nothing else, but sometimes it won't. We'll cover all these and more later in the book. What you get out of it. When you compile your project via the IDE, the results go in the bin or build directory in your project root, specifically build.classes, bin.classes holds the compiled Java classes, bin.classes.dex holds the executable created from those compiled Java classes, bin yourapp.ap underscore holds your application's resources packaged as a zip file where your app is the name of your application. Bin yourapp dash star is the actual application. .apk is the actual Android application where star varies. The APK file is a zip archive containing the DEX file, the compiled edition of your resources, and any uncompiled resources. The compiled edition of your resources is resources.arsc. Such as when you put in a res raw file, and the Android manifest file. If you build a debug version of the application, which is the default, you will have a your app-debug as your .apk as your APK. And that brings us to page 51, and we are done for now. Hope you enjoyed the root directories of Android, and we'll see you later. Bye-bye.